Hi, everyone, and welcome to If She Knew, a podcast where we talk about mental health, vulnerability, and all sorts of real life experiences that people go through but don't really talk about. So, as always, if you haven't already, go ahead and follow, as well as follow along on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube under Tierney's Journey, which is TIERNEYS Journey. So, today we are doing a little New Year's episode. I am going to keep this one probably also pretty short because the next few weeks are probably going to be a little bit on the longer end. But I think we should talk about New Year's resolutions and how much has changed for me in the past year. Okay? Okay, so at the start of last year, I had just quit my first nursing job, which was inpatient in hospital on a cancer unit. And I was taking 3 weeks off between that job and starting a new job. And I was visiting my sister in Tennessee for the New Year's. And I remember driving in the car on the way to the Smoky Mountains and my sister being like, "What's everybody's New Year's resolution?" And everybody was saying what theirs was. And she goes, "Tierney, what's yours?" And I didn't say anything. And she was like, "Is it just not to be depressed anymore?" And that's exactly what it was, because at that point, your girl was not in a good place. She was crying every day. So sad. I was hoping that this new job was going to really work out for me. It was an outpatient nursing job, Monday through Friday. I was like, maybe the problem was night shift. Maybe that just wasn't it for me. I was nauseous, lost a ton of weight. And I was like, maybe just like the alternating schedule wasn't going to be it for me. So maybe if I had a consistent Monday through Friday day schedule, I would be fine and I would feel fine again. And that didn't happen. I ended up having I think I lasted there from January 8th was my first day. And then I quit. March 15th was my last day. So I was there for just barely over 2 months. And I was a struggling little mess. I thought I was in a bad place before I started this job. And then I started this job and it just went even more downhill. Because at that point I was like, okay, I am miserable. My anxiety is so bad. I'm having panic attacks all the time. I'm super depressed. I'm having suicidal thoughts. And a lot of it was because I had just gotten this degree in nursing, right? I had been a nurse at the hospital for maybe 5 months. So at this point, I'm like, okay, well, the hospital didn't work out for me. Now I tried outpatient, and that's not working out for me. And I just got my degree in this, and I've only been a nurse for like less than a year total. So, like, what are people going to think about me, like, not being able to handle being a nurse after just doing a 4-year degree in it and spending all this money to get that degree? And what is my mom going to think? What is my family going to think? What are my friends that are also nurses going to think? And obviously, in hindsight now, it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was definitely very hard for me to let that go and let go of the idea that I needed to stick it out because that's what I majored in and that's what I spent money in, even though I was miserable and absolutely hating my life. And I don't know why. I've always been that person that's so hard on themselves. I always got really good grades. I always studied and did homework all the time. I didn't go out on the weekends. If I had a test, I was studying in a classroom all day, every day until that test. And I think that really hindered me in the future because I had put so much pressure on myself that I needed to be good at this and I needed to succeed in this. And because I had already gotten this degree, like I didn't have a choice. Like I was just going to have to make this work. And I was honestly embarrassed because I was like, this is so embarrassing that I just got this degree and I can't handle being a nurse, which honestly, I feel like more people need to talk about because I'm sure that a lot of people who just started nursing can't handle it. Like the anxiety is so bad. you're basically have people's lives in your hand and you have no idea what you're doing. So it's terrifying because all you think about is, oh, I hope nobody dies today. And that's all that you think about, especially when you have generalized anxiety, PTSD, OCD. Like all you can think about is repeatedly all the little mistakes that you've made, or if you did anything wrong, like you can't think about any of the good things you've done. And it's really hard to be comfortable and be in a place where you feel like you can take care of other people when you can't really take care of yourself. And it's scary. And I used to never think that I would be one of those nurses that quit within the first year of nursing. I was like, no, I'm getting A's in all my classes. I am at the top of my class. I'm doing so well. And I'm just never going to be that person. Fast forward to being that person, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with being that person because I ultimately was trying to make the decision for my health and what would make me the happiest in the future or in the long run. And I knew that I was wasting my time and wasting my happiness because it wasn't just that nursing was hard and that I just had to stay in it for longer until like I got better at it and was more comfortable. It was generally like I didn't like what I was doing and I didn't like being a nurse. I love talking to people. I love caring for people, but I just didn't like being a nurse. And I know it sounds crazy that I went through 4 years of college and didn't change my major. But the thing is, in college, so many people will tell you, oh, I never liked clinicals. Oh, nursing school was horrible, but I loved it after I graduated and got a job. So you're thinking, okay, I hate clinicals. I don't really love this. Like, I think the information's interesting, but like, I'm not sure if I really like this that much. But everybody's saying that nobody likes nursing school and it gets so much better when you get out and you're going to love it. So you set up this high expectation that that's what's going to happen. And when it doesn't, it feels like your world is falling apart. Super confusing. You don't know why you're feeling this way. And ultimately, I think I just picked, I mean, nothing's a mistake. Everything happens for a reason. But ultimately, I think that I just wasn't meant to be a nurse. I think I have a lot of qualities that nurses have, but the pressure for me, I just couldn't handle at that time because of my family trauma, because of all my pent up anxiety and my focus on mistakes and being a perfectionist. It was just too much for me to handle, and I was not taking care of myself and my body. And I really needed to take a break and learn about myself and give myself the time to heal and figure out what it was that I actually wanted to do with my life, what I was actually interested in doing. For a long, long time, loved making videos. This has been something that I've always wanted to do, but I was like, I don't really want to do it because like people make fun of people that do this and all of that stuff. But I got to the point where I was just like, okay, I had gone into nursing because I was leaving my house, my traumatic household. I wanted to get something that was going to make me money and that I was going to survive off of. Because at that point, my plan was just escape. I was good at science. I was like, okay, nurses make money. That's what I'm going to do. And ultimately, I think that I would have been happier doing something in marketing or public relations or communications or something like that, because I feel like I have a lot of creative tendencies. I love making videos. I love arts and crafts. I love doing all this stuff. And I was just too scared to use it and too scared that I was going to be spending all this money on college for a degree, which a lot of people think that like communications, marketing are easy degrees. And I'm one of those people that needs to prove people wrong. And that's why I went with a very hard major, when in reality I should have taken the time to listen to myself more and pursue things that made me happy. But ultimately, I didn't figure that out until I quit March 15th from my second nursing job. And that was after talking to my therapist for the whole 2 months that I was working there about wanting to quit, because I was literally calling my sister, bawling my eyes out every day, saying, I can't quit, I can't quit. And her telling me it's okay to quit. And I literally could not do it until my therapist told me it was okay. I just needed the validation. I couldn't do it on my own. And luckily now I've gained the tools to validate myself in those ways. But it was really crucial for me to have somebody at that point that was like, it's going to be okay, like a professional that has dealt with this before. But I gave myself those 4 months off, 4 or 5 months off, which was amazing because I was starting to get out of my comfort zone. My whole life I've been in survival mode, hopping around, hiding in the background, just scathing by life. And I finally was able to start putting myself out there. I was going to exercise classes on my own. I was going to adult dance classes. I was meeting new people. I was recording things in public. And I was driving places on my own, which are things that I was like, nope, never going to happen before that. And now I'm doing podcasting and interviewing people in New York City. And I would not have been doing that a year ago. So to think that this is where I am now compared to where I was at a year ago crying every day, a year ago with panic attacks, my New Year's resolution being, I just don't want to be depressed anymore. And I'm not saying that I still don't struggle with any of those things, but I am at a significantly better place just in the span of a year. And I almost did not give myself the opportunity to get there. Because at that time, it felt like I can't handle this anymore. I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to have to worry about these things. It's too hard. It's too much. I can't handle it. Just let me go. And I am so glad that I didn't, because it got so much better. And that just, I know a year might seem long, but a year goes so fast, and it does get better. My life has changed so much in a year, and I'm so glad that I let myself accept these changes, because I think that quitting jobs after only a couple months is something that, especially the older generations, don't think you should do and think that it's a horrible idea and that you're lazy, But I'm so glad that I did that, because I worked my first job 5 months after graduating college. I worked for 5 months in my first job. Quit that, was like depressed already. Went to my next job, worked there for 2 months, and then I was scared because I had already quit the first job, that if I quit this job, I was never going to get another job, because they were going to look at me and be like, this girl is like a job hopper, which maybe that's true in some cases, but ultimately your mental health is more important than your job. And if you are really, really struggling and you have the opportunity to take some time off of work and either stay with your family, or if you have somebody that can help support you or have enough savings built up, I highly recommend doing that, because you learn so much more about yourself, and you actually think of like what is going to make you happy and what your passions are and what you want to pursue. And I mean, even the job that I'm working in now is significantly better. Like, I like it a lot better than my other nursing jobs were, but it's not what I want to do with my life. And I know that, and I know that it's not going to be a forever job for me. And it's just about trying to find the next step from that point. But ultimately, I just wanted to share that was my experience. And once you get to this point, and I promise you, when you go and talk to people from college, half of them have probably quit their first job and moved somewhere else. And I'm saying that because I felt like, because I was only looking at my close friends that were working at the same hospitals as me, that nobody was doing this and I was the only one to have left my job. That's not true. That's not true at all. So many people have quit their first job, are going back to school for something else because they didn't want to do what they got their major in, or are taking time off of working. And I don't think that there should be any judgment with that. I know for a fact, I am not perfect. When I was in high school, I would have seen that and been like, oh, they're lazy or they're like not succeeding, because in my head, I put so much pressure on myself to go above and beyond. And I ended up getting so burnt out that by this point, I understood. I got it. I was like, this makes sense. This is why people are doing that, because they feel this way. And that's something that we have to normalize. I know that it's like a little bit controversial, but quitting your job doesn't mean you're lazy if your mental health is like, it's being detrimentally affected by your job. And if you need the time to literally focus on yourself to save your life, because there's no point in you working this job if you are going to harm yourself later. What's the point in that? You're just being miserable for months and it's never going to get better. So I would rather you quit your job or take time off, take a break, use your PTO, do whatever you have to do, go see a doctor, go see a therapist, get on medication, and try to focus on yourself and your health, because unless you're doing well, you aren't going to succeed anyways in your job, because you can't focus on yourself. You're struggling on your own. For example, nursing, how am I supposed to take care of other people when I'm not even being taken care of myself? So that's just a little food for thought this New Year's holiday. And I hope that everybody has a great New Year's and some New Year's resolutions that aren't the typical, lose weight, eat healthy. I mean, those are great if you're going to do that, but really focus on your happiness and things that bring you joy, and trying new things and new experiences this year. And I'm probably going to actually post this video a couple days before New Year's Eve, just so that, you can think about these things beforehand and you have the time to process this before it gets to New Year's Day, because New Year's Day is on a Wednesday when I usually post. But like I said before, I have some really great podcasts coming up, a lot of really great guests that are going to be sharing some really difficult life experiences that they've been through. And I think you guys are really going to love that. So go ahead and rate the podcast 5 stars if you haven't already. This is really, really helpful for me, and follow the podcast if you haven't. To rate the profile, it's late. To rate the podcast, go to the profile page, hit the 3 dots, and then you can hit rate show and leave a 5-star review. That would be super appreciated. Let me know if you guys have any specific topics that you want me to talk about, or if you want me to try to find people that have specific experiences. I already have a lot of people that have chronic illnesses, family trauma, eating disorders, stuff like that, that are going to be coming on the podcast to talk about that stuff. So let me know if there's anyone specifically that you would be interested to hear from, or any topics specifically, and I'd be super happy to reach out to people that have that and try to get them on the podcast and have a conversation about it. But I hope that everybody has a fantastic week, and I love you. Bye.